Guys, Crypto Renegade here. In today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly why 99% of crypto traders fail. Stay tuned, you do not want to miss this one. Alright guys, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the fundamental reason and actually demonstrate on 7 different altcoins why crypto traders fail and what the #1 thing that they can do to improve every single trade so that they become profitable over time. So let's get into it. But right before I jump into the content, go ahead and check out the website cryptorenegade.live. I'm doing a live case study right now that's in conjunction with my podcast, the Crypto Renegade podcast. Go ahead and go to Crypto Renegade Live here to try it, sign up for the free trial. And then if you want to see my live case study turning $100 into $1,000, go ahead and sign up on this form. Now, let's take a quick look at what's going on with Bitcoin, because one of the things that I wanted to point out here, and there's a couple of things going on here with Bitcoin, but as we all know, Bitcoin is the main driver for what is going on in the crypto markets in terms of altcoins, in terms of everything else that's going on there. So I kind of framed out a couple of different things here. Obviously on this bottom blue line, we have the 30K multi-year support. At the top, we of course have all-time high resistance of 69 or 70K Bitcoin. And in the middle here, we have 45K, which is sort of the local resistance and or magnet area. And as you can see, Bitcoin finally broke through that 45K resistance. But you'll notice 2 different colored lines here that are kind of crisscrossing over the past couple of years. The orange line is the 100-day moving average, which we automatically crushed. And just for those people that don't know, the moving averages just are an average of what the price is over either 100 days, or in the case of this yellow line, this is 200 days. These are very common time frames that most traders use when they're determining where the overall market sentiment or flow or structure is. Now, in this particular case, we blasted through the 100-day moving average back here in mid-March a couple weeks ago. And then as you can see, we hit resistance at this 200-day moving average, which is roughly at, we'll call it $47,500 or $48,000. And as you can see, there was a red day and a pullback today where Bitcoin dropped down. As you can see, the price is at around $45,600, but it's putting in a green candle at support. So it's my opinion that as long as this support holds, we can blast through and retest that 200-day moving average. And if we break through that 200-day moving average, there's a lot of open air to kind of rally up to the all-time high. So just keep that in mind as we go through the rest of these charts. But before I switch over to the altcoins, I wanted to take a look just generally at what's going on here. So on CoinGecko, you're gonna notice that over the last hour, 24 hours, or 7 days, that there's a lot of mix of red and green. And you're gonna see a very similar consistency or pattern as we run through some of these charts on what's going on. But to get to the point of why 99% of traders fail or lose money is one simple thing. I mean, obviously there are multiple factors, but the #1 thing that I see amongst everyone that I talk to when they're trying to make money in crypto is they do not have a plan. They do not write a plan. They enter trades just because they see flashing green over here, they see massive pumps, and they try to chase these green candles. And I'm going to show you an example in a minute here of essentially what people have been doing and how they're going to get wrecked. But ultimately, you need to make a plan before you enter a trade. And it could be as a very simple plan as I'm entering X coin at this price. Here's where I'm going to take profit. Here's where I'll cut the trade if it goes against me. And simply just follow those 2 rules and then just wait for one of them to happen and then take action, either taking profit or cutting it and taking a loss so that you don't end up bag holding a coin. Even if you do something as simple as that, you're already 99% better than most people that literally have no reason of why they're entering a coin or entering a market. If they can't articulate in 2 to 3 sentences why they bought a coin with specifics, I'm buying it at this price for this reason, and I'm going to take profit here, or I'm going to cut it if it goes here, then they really have no idea what they're doing. They're really just chasing money and they're following the herd and they have no plan. And of course, the age-old saying is if you plan to fail, you fail to plan. So that's the #1 reason, but I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different things of what I'm looking at in the charts and how you can actually set a very simple plan to make money in the current environment, even though the entire macro environment that we're in with high inflation, war, everything else going on in the world, there's very specific things that you can do to measure or quantify risk and then enter in the market. Or you can just be patient. First, you need to determine what your time frame is for how long you want to be in a trade, if it's going to be a short-term trade for a quick profit, or if it's long-term, and that's going to determine whether you're going in heavy, if you're buying low, or if you're just trying to make a quick 10, 15, 20%. So again, making a plan is the number one thing that I see people do. Now, if you follow the case study and you sign up for the podcast, I go into very specific actionable things that you can do in addition to making a plan, and even giving examples of plans and so on and so forth. So if you want to see the private case study, go ahead and check out the link down below for cryptorenegade.live. So again, taking a look at Bitcoin, you're going to notice a spot down right here. This is where there's a lot of volume going on. It's still holding support, but until we break the 200-day moving average, I don't think we're going to see alts fly, because right now it's looking good in the sense that it's holding 45K support. And if we can ultimately kind of just blast through this, then there's a lot of open air up here for alts and Bitcoin to run further. Taking a look at Ethereum here, same thing that we're looking at here. It broke through the resistance here of about 3,300, went all the way up, tested the same as Bitcoin, the 200-day moving average, and now it's back holding the support. So the chart looks very similar from Ethereum as well as Bitcoin as well, where there's a lot of momentum and strength here. Now we're having a retracement, which is good. And as long as there's continuation to the upside, if you were to, for example, have a plan to enter right now because it's holding support, if you enter at 3,300, the next resistance or emotional price level is at 4,000. So if you were to enter now from 3,000 to 4,000, as you can see, that's a 25% move. As long as you're willing to be patient, that is a good risk to reward setup. The all-time high up here is obviously 5,000, but again, until it breaks that 200-day moving average, it's going to be a little tricky to determine if it's going to consolidate sideways before it pops. But I think that once it does, with confirmation, break above this 200-day moving average, you're going to see not only Ethereum, but all ERC20 tokens fly. Next up, we have Luna. So Luna is obviously in the news a lot lately. You have Do Kwon, the founder, who is saying that he is buying $10 billion worth of Bitcoin. So for his UST backing his stable coin. So there's a lot of fundamental news around Luna that's going on. Again, this is a unique case or a unique coin because right now it's already cleared the 100 and then 200-day moving averages by a long shot. It broke the all-time high of, let's say, around roughly $100. It shot all the way up to 110 and then pulled back for a couple of days, and it's still holding that, retesting that support. So again, this is now the third coin. We're seeing a very similar pattern where it broke through resistance. Now it's pulling back and putting in a green day so that we can have continuation. This is a good risk to reward setup. If you were to enter right now at $104 on Luna and you had patience, whether it be a few weeks to a few months, the Fibonacci level of 1.168 is roughly $140. This would be a good area where you could easily make a quick 40%. When I say quick, I mean, again, a couple of days to up to a couple of months, because this market has momentum, and as soon as they continue to slowly, and they're, by the way, they're not even at 10% of their Bitcoin buying, but every time you use Luna and UST and use that ecosystem, it's being backed by that Bitcoin, which is obviously good. I think that this is a particular coin at an all-time high that's going to continue to see growth and continue to rally. Pretty good risk reward setup here. If you were to enter it right now at support, you could cut it if it comes down to here. But again, I think the upside and the risk to reward right now is looking really good. This is one of the interesting coins where it's on a rally where it's well exceeding its 100-day and 200-day moving average. So up next here we have Near Protocol. Now Near Protocol, as you can see, I've kind of structured it. It's got roughly a $6.50 support area. It's got a resistance of, we'll call $14. Again, doing the exact same thing as Ethereum and Bitcoin. It kind of broke through that resistance. It's having a pullback, but now it's holding support at roughly $13.50. Really good momentum. This is one of the coins that has a good risk to reward setup because it's already above that 100-day and 200-day moving average. And if you were to enter at this particular point in time at $13.50, you would potentially have a 51% move before it hits the all-time high resistance with relatively no more resistance, or, other than all-time high. So this is a coin that I'm currently in myself. In my opinion, if you're just patient with this one, and as long as it maintains the stability above the 100 and 200-day moving averages, those are good areas to where if you're wanting to make a plan, you could say, hey, if it drops below this 100-day moving average, I'll cut the trade and then go find a better one, or I'll just be patient and give it time for it to kind of chop around and slightly grind up. This could take a couple of days, a couple of weeks, or a couple of months. It's really just being patient and being disciplined. It's another thing we talk about in the case study, going over the mindset and the attitude and how to really make money, because sometimes people will see things like this where it will sell off for 2 days and they'll panic sell and end up with nothing. So having a well-formed plan before you enter a trade takes out a lot of the headaches of emotions, of panic selling, of making mistakes. If you trade less, you typically tend to profit more. That's something that one of my mentors taught me, but ultimately this is something that I'm currently in right now, and it really is, in my opinion, as long as we can maintain Bitcoin's overall sentiment to hold 45K and then move up, I think we're in good shape. Next up here, we have Solana. So Solana's at an interesting point right now as well, because it has officially broken through $125 sort of resistance. It's been kind of consolidating and moving up. On the 100-day moving average, it already crushed through that, but you still have overhead resistance at a 200-day moving average, which just so happens to line up with $150 price. So if you were to enter this momentum on this trade now, before you hit major resistance at that 200-day moving average, you basically have about a 16% move before it can blast through that. Your next level area is roughly $200. So if you wanted to, you could, depending on how patient you want to be, that's potentially an upside of 56% if you want to wait a little bit longer. But ultimately, right now, there's still overhead resistance, so this isn't quite something I want to do at this moment in time for a short-term trade. However, if you do have a longer time horizon, this might be really a good trade for you, as there's more developments. OpenSea announced partnerships with them, so there's a lot of fundamental news going on of why this is sort of reversing and moving back to the upside. So just keep that in mind for Solana. The main kind of overhang thing here is it already beat the 100, but you still have overhead resistance at 200, which personally I would rather wait for this to clear and then make the trade in between this move between 150 and 200 versus right now where it's at 125 to 150, because once it clears that, I think it's smooth sailing all the way up until the next major area. Coming up next, we have Avax. So Avax is also at a very interesting inflection point. Again, we have support here at about $50, all-time high at about $140, and then we literally hitting resistance again at roughly $97. As you can see, there's been 3-4 green days in a row. Now it's pulling back red. It already passed through the 100-day and 200-day moving average, as well as this descending trend line. So ultimately, as far as momentum goes, it broke through the resistance on the diagonal. It came back and retested it, and now it's moving up to its next resistance point. Honestly, if this can break 97, 98, or we'll just call it $100, you have a pretty safe, in my opinion, move to the upside of a potentially 36% before it retests the all-time high. So this is a good way to kind of quantify, or indicators that you can use. Use basic support and resistance, take a look at the 100 and 200-day moving averages, as most people do, and then if it's something's breaking out of a resistance point, you just sort of identify the next points, and then you can quantify your own risk to reward at that moment in time. This is an interesting time to trade because of all those external factors, but I got 2 more coins that I want to show you. But this is an interesting trade setup where if it breaks through 100, I would definitely entertain and probably will take this trade setup because of all of the combined factors here, and indicators are showing very bullish momentum. Next up, we have Waves. Waves been pumping like crazy. If we take a look back at CoinGecko and we look at the last 24 hours, Waves is up 4% in the last 24 hours and 73% in the last 7 days or week, which is kind of insane. So when you're looking at Waves particularly, I just want to put this into perspective, is when it came back down into this sort of consolidation range, it's been about 314 days, almost a full year of it sort of kind of chopping around and consolidating between, we'll call this $8 and $30. and it's really just been taking its sweet time kind of breaking through until it finally broke through resistance here. There was a fundamental news event, and once it popped out of the $31 or $30 range, it shot all the way up to 60, which is up 84%. Now, this is what's called a parabolic move. That many green candles in a day is something that I would personally be wary of, because if this is almost going directly straight up. There's also a lot of fundamental news with their stablecoin rolling out and a lot of liquidity getting tied up here, which is part of the reason, in my opinion, why this is starting to rally. But the risk to reward, obviously it's cleared the 100 and 200-day moving average, but the risk to reward on this right now, personally, it's already up, kind of went up 84%. And if you look at it currently right now where it sits, it's still up 60%, but those are massive wicks and massive volatility. If it were to come back to retest $30 and sort of consolidate there, that would be a good pivot point to re-enter the trade if it has fundamental news and it is good for your long-term risk if that's something that you want. So I got one more altcoin. Now, this is GMT. Now, taking a quick look at CoinGecko, this thing is up 240% in the last 7 days and 21% in the last 24 hours, and it's down 7.7% in the last 1 hour. This is a brand new market, and when you're dealing with a brand new market like this, you have kind of an exchange, what appears to be an exchange listing back in, looks like, let me see here, this is back in early March, so this is a brand new project. It kind of created an ascending wedge, perfect formation here, and then it popped out with 1, 2, 3, 4 massive green candles, pulled up 200%. But now it's starting to sell off, and as you can see, it's starting to pull in a red candle. You see a lot of these types of things, like we saw this on the chart with Remark, we saw this on the chart with other new hypey or new fundamental projects. Just make sure that you're not chasing these green candles, because as you can see, people are going to get caught holding the bag here at the top, and this is typically where people get trapped, and then it moves all the way back down into an accumulation zone or a range. So just wanted to let you know that just be aware. If you look at CoinGecko, a lot of people get caught up in this, double digit or triple digit gains here over the last week, and then they start chasing, and then they get left holding something that I anticipate this is going to sell off and go all the way back down to that roughly dollar range. Well, time will tell to see if that actually happens or not, but bringing this full circle, the reason 99% of people fail at trading is they simply don't quantify or make a plan. Is if you do that one simple thing, and obviously if you want more instruction on technical analysis, fundamental analysis, back testing, all that kind of stuff, join the podcast free trial, and you'll get access also to the case study where I turn $100 into $1,000. But also at the same time, check the link in the description for that, cryptorenegade.live. You just want to be careful, make a plan. As long as you set a cutoff point, as long as you set a take profit point, that gives you enough structure to where you're already ahead of 99% of people in the crypto space that are all trying to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to make money. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here for you guys. I hope this was helpful. Comment down below if you like these types of videos or if you want me to go back to more fundamental deep dives. And until next time, Crypto Renegade out.